I'm just calling it kind of like a story, right? I mean, obviously you could take any preference of business and you can document it. We can make bullet lists, we can make checklists, but ideally to make it more sticky and from a brand standpoint, telling a story would make it a little bit easier for you guys to comprehend and utilize this. So we're talking about growth strategies today through the method of affiliate networking. So this story is called The Little Pod Network That Could: How Affiliates Found, Fun Growth, Friendships, and Fortune. As far as the disclaimer, obviously this is a real story, so I've kind of like falsified and fictionalized some people's names and other things like that, just because they're actually partners of mine that I'm working with currently right now. So just putting that out there. So first and foremost, I want you to kind of think of it from the standpoint. In this case, we're talking about a podcast coach, but it could be any coach. And I want you to look at it from the standpoint if you are a business, a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, and you're embarking on a journey of growth, right? And you're thinking about, well, like I have clients, I'm working with these clients and I'm charging these clients, let's say, for example, $2,500. And you're doing all the work yourself and you're trying to figure out your next steps on how to grow. So let's say you partner with Boston Cage, or you partner with any other agency for that matter, and they'll come in, they'll do the consultant for you with your clients, they'll do the brand development with your clients, or, again, it could be another type of agency that can do the web development, it could be another type of agency that can do the social media. Always think about it from the creative standpoint of switching out these variables, right? And then by having these other companies partner with you, then you could lighten your load, and obviously you'll have more time to make more money, and you don't have to do all the coaching yourself. So let's look at the variables of that. So let's say Boston Cage charged the podcast coach $500 for that service, and he's charging $2,500, and the negotiations go back and forth. And we say, okay, guy, we'll give you 20% off. You'll get it for $400, right? So ideally, the next part of that is now every single time that he hires us to help his, clients, he's essentially making that $100 back. But at the same time, he's doing less work. So I want you to kind of take that and look at it at scale. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're saying, well, if I can make $2,500, do all the work and burn out, or I can pay someone $400 and keep $100, what would that look like at scale? How many more people can I get to do more work or similar work at scale to get that $100 or even more back in return? So let's say this coach starts working with another company outside of Boston Cage. They go into negotiations, and during the negotiations, instead of getting the 20%, he's trying to get 40%. And then the company says, well, we'll do 35%. So now this coach is looking at only paying $325 for this service instead of 500 or instead of 400. So now he has even more revenue coming back in with less work again. Then let's look at it at scale. So if he's doing that, what would it look like for him to kind of get back 100% return, right? Like, could he get back that $2,500 straight up 100% without having to do anything? And the easiest way for him to do that is to then network out in an affiliate networking group. So he can have essentially 12 affiliate networkers that are all essentially doing things for him at scale. And there's different negotiations. Some may be 20%, some may be 40%, some may be 35%. And ideally, he's going to be able to save capital for all of the different investments between the affiliating group, and he's going to save capital and be able to make 100% back on his return. And his clients will be extremely happy because he's not the only person, right? He has value from these different, I'll call them avatars, to kind of help him grow and prosper his business without him burning himself out. So when you think about this collectively, this is one variation of a growth strategy, right? And I want you to kind of think of it from what you guys do. And this is really good for networking. So when you go to like networking, or you're doing virtual coffees and someone says something and you don't really see the value add to it, think about who in your group can do the value add. It may not be the exact customer, but it can be an affiliate partner for them. And there's different variables to this. And again, you can kind of think about it from a creative standpoint, and you don't want to say, okay, well, I'm in real estate and you're talking about design and then kind of discredit it. You want to kind of look at it from the standpoint of, okay, you're a graphic designer. Are you potentially working with real estate agents? And what can you do that I can possibly resell and repurpose to other agents at scale and essentially get capital from that? So the short takeaway and the recap is you want to leverage the partnerships for the financial gain, right? So again, the more partners you have and the better you negotiate the rates, the more capital you will have with less work from you. You want to think about it from a creative mutual benefit, right? So the person that you're working with, they're going to get the payment and they know that, okay, they're going to give you a discount, but you're going to have enough clients to give them multiple jobs. So they're willing to give you a discount because you're going to give them quantity, right? And then you want to look at scale through the networking. Like if you got one person, maybe ask that person if they have anyone else in the network that does what they do or does something similar to what your clients' needs are. So the idea here is you can get growth without essentially hiring new employees. You can get growth without essentially putting more money into other agencies. Essentially, you have a system that you're building to where every aspect of what your clients' needs and requirements are could be fulfilled through this networking group. And again, you essentially are making yourself the middleman and you have the opportunity to capitalize on that. And all three parties end up being happy. So the last thing going into Q&A, I want you guys to think about, first of all, was this story educational? Second, I want you guys to think about what are your key takeaways from what I just said. And then last but not least, if you have opportunity, go ahead and scan that QR code to get additional information, additional freebies, and just additional content. Any questions?
I just have to say that SA has helped me tremendously, like off of just some hour coaching sessions, like I'm still using now. Even now, like on this call today, talking about the startup community and all of that, like that was not even my idea, that was SA's idea. And like he's really guided and directed me to like places I never even thought of for my business to like grow my network. So I will say, if anyone wants to get creative and find spots, that it really is very useful. That's what I'm going to say.
So the
quick question for you, SA.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of exposure, I guess access, do you see to be the most successful from customer to the specific subject matter expert? Like, do you act as the one point of contact for that, or do you make those connections so that they have an interpersonal relationship themselves and the money is just flowing through you?
It's a two-way street. So I have some people that are essentially that they're the middle guys, and my agency is kind of more so white label. And I have some people that they're the middle guys, and then our agency is not necessarily white labeled, is very transparent that they're hiring us to negotiate or to do that one aspect of their work. And we do the same thing, vice versa. It's always a two-way street. I mean, why would I bottleneck it when we can make revenue on both ends, right? So again, if I have someone that wants us to white label it, sure. If I want someone that wants us to manage their clients, sure. There's a price difference between the two, but again, both of them have revenues associated to it.
Okay. Yeah, and I get the two-way street. So it sounds like you will white label and clear label.
Correct. And again, it really comes down to the numbers and if it works. I'm more in the podcasting space. So I deal with like podcast recruiters, podcast agents. I deal with like more agency level. So it makes a lot of sense for agency to agency connections to where, well, just white label, it makes sense for agency. If I'm dealing with a podcast recruiter, well, they're going to pass that person through me so that revenue will go through them and then they pay me. Versus if I'm doing agency to agency, sometimes the agency will pay us or sometimes the client of the agency will pay us directly.
So how do you
Thank you, sir.
how do you make the decision to whether like affiliate out or white label? That's what I'm struggling with, because like, for example, I asked for Facebook ads. Like if I send it to somebody who just does Facebook ads, I don't have to worry about them. I can like affiliate out. But if they don't go with them, I run the risk of them going with a different company that overlaps with my services.
And that's
how do you make the decision?
Partnerships. So like prime example, like Monica and I, we partner and we're both brand specialists, but we don't have any conflict of interest, right? Because again, like my branding is a little bit different than her branding, and like my services are different than her services, even though we both do branding. And like we have discussions, we'll say, okay, well, your team can do this. And then she will say, well, your team could do this. And then we'll kind of figure out which is the best team to do it and why. But obviously, both teams may be a part of that equation. So for you, first of all, you have to build that trust. You have to be someone that you can actually trust is not going to essentially steal that client. And if that becomes an issue, then what I would do is to now go to white labeling, right? So I would say, okay, you get the money first and you pay them. So that
Mhm.
way all the money is coming through you, and then you're delegating and you're controlling the aspect of that other company getting paid if they do what you tell them to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
I think too, Jess, when we get in our little breakouts, we should really start like developing more strategy together with people in the marketing breakout.
I would love that. That'd
And
be
us
great.
get really more, yeah, just like leaning into that more. That's why I'm really happy we're going to do that now.
Yeah, that'll be next week. When we focus on that. To the last thing I'll mention, Jessica, kind of to your point and what SA was just saying, the ways that money can flow through. One of the issues that you can run into if you're just always referring out is like, oh, I'm just the good person that just refers out, right? And just I'm just the connector. It's great. And then, like you're saying, there's, if something happens or if something's not quite right, like you don't really have any, I don't want to say control, but that's a good way to put it, of the situation, where if you are acting more as an agency hub, that at
Mhm.
least that gives you the ability to make, a percentage off of the fact that you're still providing services.
Yeah.
So say if you used Kathy and she charges $600 per month and you charge the client $700, right? And then you pay Kathy what she is. And then you have at least a cut for being the person who is managing everything all together.
Mhm.
So that aspect of it is valuable. And I think that's the whole presentation here was like really illuminating that being the person who is the hub is an important role.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest with you, most agencies today, if you go to an agency website and they have like a list of 30 services, they probably only specialize in one or two of them, right? The other services are partnerships. And again, they're just white labeling the other services. That way they can look really, really big and they specialize in what they specialize in. But again, they could substitute and put out prime example. Somebody comes to you like they did and they say they need a website, but you don't do Facebook. Well, if you partner with an agency that does Facebook and you white label those services, now by all means, you can put that service on your website. And every time somebody comes through, you just hire the agency. Like that's the pipeline. And you can do it automated as well too. Like our system is set up to where it's automation behind it. So somebody can go to our portal, they can sign up to be an affiliate, and then here's a list of our different services that they can sell. And if they definitely sell one of our services, it'll go through that portal and it'll tell us how much their percentage is to pay them. So we know exactly what's going on and how it's going on before we even talk to the client.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, SA, for being here. Yeah,